Welcome into Fantasy AI. Moving on. All right, let's get looking at some of these free agents here. We got up first is Butte. Keyshawn Butte, 103 yards receiving. He might answer the question who's the number one there in New England, right? I mean, we assume Diggs. Diggs showed up with 57. But Diggs is getting up there, isn't he? Look at all those years. How about, Demario Douglas hasn't really ever done it for us. He had minus yards rushing yesterday. But anyway, we're going to go with Butte here, right? Had the 103. Was a superstar heading into his final year at LSU. But a lot of people, this is Butte. He says, I think a lot of people realize that at one point I was a first rounder. Just had my surgery and that set me back. He got hurt, right? But had a position leading 58 snaps for New England that first week. Caught 6 of them. So he has, of all of the ones on this list, he has the opportunity to really be the number one, right, for New England for the rest of the year. And if Drake May is going to do anything, we're going to need some receivers. I have him as the number one. Of course, Dylan Sampson here would probably be the top running back. This is assuming he had 29 yards rushing, but threw in for the 64 yards receiving. Now, we're assuming that Judkins is already on rosters. When I did this, I picked everyone 70% or below on rosters, and Sampson was not rostered. He will be next week because, he got a lot of actions played before Ford, really. Ford had 8 yards rushing, minus 3 yards receiving. When we were looking, it was this Dylan Sampson, right? So, and Judkins, there's a chance he's coming back soon, but still disciplinary possibilities. This Sampson's there ready to roll for next week. He would be the number one running back to pick up. Now, let's look at the next two I've got here. Tootin. Tootin didn't really do too much, 11 yards rushing. But the big important news there, of course, is Tank Bigsby moving on. Right, Tank Bigsby got traded to Philadelphia, so that leaves Bashan Tootin as the number 2 there, right? ETN had a great game, 143 yards rushing, 13. He just took over there. So, yeah, he's going to be the number 1 for the time being, I suppose. This Allen actually got in there and 7 yards rushing, but 4 yards receiving. He played a lot of plays, probably more than Tootin did. But you're looking for the whole year, it's going to be Tootin. And with that move and Tank Bigsby, you're not going to probably get a chance to pick him up later. So that's a valuable number 2. Tootin. So I've got him there as number 3. Of course, Keenan Allen showed up. Right? Keenan Allen, 68 yards in the touchdown. All right, well, he should be the number 2 there, right? Ladd McConkey showed up with 74 yards. He's the number 1 by far. But if Justin Herbert's going to be throwing the rock around like he was, 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Now, we can't expect that every week. They're probably going to go back to a running team, possibly. But we'll see. Hey, certainly Herbert has the pedigree. But so now we're down to Keenan Allen. He had the 68 yards touch, but also the Quentin Johnston. He scored with 2 touchdowns and 79 yards. Just based on the past, this Johnston appears and disappears a lot. I would rank Keenan Allen ahead of him. And there's a lot here too. There's Trey Harris, Lambert. They're just loaded. One thing is, Justin Herbert has a lot of receivers to work with, doesn't he? So, hey, that's working pretty good for the Chargers. But right now, I'd say Keenan Allen, just based on what it is, he looks like the number 2. Led the team with 10 targets, right? Caught 7 of 10. They paid him $8 million. They brought him in. Hey, he's available in your league. He's going to be the number 2 there. Let's move on to some other people I have. How about Jaden Higgins here? All right, well, Jaden Higgins, he's slow start, 32 yards receiving, but hey, he is the number 2. And with Kirk being hurt, right? Well, they've got him out but for week 2, he's questionable. We'll hear more on that later in the week, but I just don't see that being possible. So Jaden Higgins will probably get some, more action there, right? So, hey, got our game up against Tampa. 22 schedule, but eventually during the year, he's the number 2 brought in. Now we're worried especially with Kirk, if he's going to miss some time. Hurt last year a lot. So this Noel here, hey, he didn't, just kind of disappointing. I thought he'd do a little bit more in the slot for Houston there. I mean, you're playing the Rams. They're not going to get off to a great start. C.J. Stroud with only 188 yards passing. That'll turn around. At the Rams was a tough game, right? So, hey, we'll see. They're at home next week against Tampa. That's still going to be tough. We're going to need some points. I like Higgins still. All right. How about Hollywood Brown? 99 yards receiving. All right. Well, hey, not only just the 99 yards receiving here, he had 16 targets for 99 yards, right? Hey, he was available. He's the name, right? So as we go through the struggles there with Rice out, now Worthy with that shoulder injury, right? Shoulder, hey, you just don't know there. So it's going to be, if he misses time, and even if he is, he's going to be restricted if he comes back. So for next week, it's going to be Hollywood, Juju, and the Thornton, right? So right now, we've got him right there doing pretty good. So, all right. And I do have Juju and Thornton down here. So Thornton, hey, he didn't do as well. 41 was one of the highlights of the preseason, though. So he's on the list too. But I think for now, I guess Juju would be on this third. But I mean, Hollywood would be the one to pick up if you got a chance at any of them, right? So there we go on Hollywood. How about a couple others here? I have Wandale on the list here. But how about Thornton Jr.? All right, I still keep pushing him. Hey, no one's really ready. He had 45 yards receiving. Now with Brock Bowers here, Brock Bowers is questionable for next week, but he looked worse than that, so he might be missing. So wide receiver help is Jacoby Myers fired 97. He got a lot of the action, and so did Trey Tucker here. He got the touchdown where Thornton just 45 yards receiving. So, and this Besh, he only had 23, but he might be more of a name here if Brock Bowers stays out for very long, right? So I kind of like this Thornton Jr. He's going to be playing the Chargers next week with a middle-of-the-road schedule. Still like him long-term. He's going to be one of the guys. So, hey, hear about these tight ends here. I don't know how you're going to be valuing tight end, but Harold Fanning Jr., right? Got in there, got a lot of touches that we weren't expecting, right? Played 55 snaps. Now, what about Njoku here? We thought, David Njoku, he had 37 yards, right? And the Fanning Jr. had 63 yards. A lot of snaps for him. Now, that's kind of questionable, yet on the tight end. But if you're looking, you have to pick up a tight end. He would be one of the ones. Also, Kincaid here. Dalton Kincaid, I saw that he was available in a lot of leagues. 48 yards, got the touchdown. That helps. 28%, second highest. So, hey, he got some action this week. But, hey, in the past, he hasn't been doing so good. Last year, look at that average. Just really didn't deliver. So I would wait another week on him to trust that. Of course, with that Knox there, right? Knox got some action too, He had his 20 yards in there and looked good on a couple. So still not sold on Dalton Kincaid, but he's down here. Maybe Fanning Jr. right ahead of him. How about Romeo Doubs and Dobbs got in there. He's looking pretty good. 68 yards receiving. Of course, Matthew Golden disappointed with 16 yards. Right, still working in there. Playing 48% of the plays. Was in on 23, but hey, it was more of Romeo Doubs here that took over. Hey, Matthew Golden remains a rotational him, but right now it's Dobbs and Jaden Reed. That was a surprise, wasn't it? Jaden Reed, as much action as he got. Now, with that foot, a few of them showed that he was available. Obviously, if he was available in your league, move him up. Of course, he would be one of the ones to take, top of the list, behind Butte. But in my league, he's taken. In a lot of leagues, he's taken. So We'll see how I just put it. Like I said, I put it at 70%. I didn't know what to do here. How about Calvin Austin and Strange here? Calvin Austin. Well, he got 70 yards. I mean, I'm reluctant to put him ahead because of the disappearing act he does sometimes, But hey, we had him and of course DK there, Metcalf, kind of did pretty good, 83 yards. So kind of a surprise there. Aaron Rodgers with that 244 yards, 4 touchdown passes. All right, you're not going to get that every week. So I don't know. I'm not as high on some as Calvin Austin as others, just based on past performance, But hey, we got Strange showed up, right? Hey, he would be one of the tight ends that you might be looking at for Jacksonville, right? So, he's the new starter there. So he did pretty good there. Got in 59 yards as he's the new tight end there. Then moved on. So to Denver. Quentin Johnston. Now you might be tempted to jump out and grab him. He had 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. But I still see him behind Keenan Allen. And there's a lot of rookies here too for Quentin Johnston. The Lambert and Trey Harris isn't even listed, and he was a high round pick. So I'm not so sold on Quentin Johnston yet. How about Ray McLeod? He's the game in town, 51 yards. Now, if you hear before tonight, I'm doing this in the morning to get it out, but if Drake London, who, questionable with a shoulder, and then Mooney's questionable with a shoulder too. A lot of shoulder problems going on. Would Ray McLeod shoulder the load there if something happened, right? So, got to keep an eye on that. Over the time, Ray hasn't really shown up too much, but he's on there and might be the only game in town short term. All right, how about this Tesla? He for Detroit, right? 13 yards, got the touchdown. I think they said they're looking to get him more involved. He's the number 3 now, with Patrick moving on. So he'll be the guy there. Trey Tucker. I mean, hey, I don't know. 54 yards. He got the touchdown over Thornton. 45 yards. He got more looks, Thornton. They're sharing the number 2 job. But, hey, a lot more sharing to go around if Brock Bowers is out. I still prefer Thornton Jr. over Trey Tucker. But Trey Tucker's on the list, How about Cedric Tillman and DeAndre Hopkins? Cedric Tillman, for Cleveland, 50 yards, touchdown. Joe Flacco there, Jerry Jeudy with a 66 yards. And Thrash got in there for 6 yards, but really he'd be the number 2 still. And Joe Flacco had 290 yards, 1 touchdown pass. So if they get going, Cedric Tillman is the number 2, right? And that was pretty good. He was healthy for this game, so we don't have to worry about that. And, of course, DeAndre Hopkins got a touchdown, but really didn't get that much action. Got the touchdown. Zay Flowers exploded for 143 yards and a touchdown. He's probably the game in town with the 2 tight ends. Of course, Mark Andrews didn't do much. They'll look to get him more involved next week. So, Noah Brown down here. Hey, Noah Brown's getting some action there as the number 3, although Debo came on and did very good. I thought Debo did a very good game. I underestimated Debo with that. He looked very good. Terry McLaurin, of course, he's not going to get much action. Look for him to pick up if he doesn't get hurt after holding out. But that's pretty well the Washington there. Now, Tennessee, Calvin Ridley, 27 yards. Hey, tough game against Denver, right? Matching up against one of the best. So he had a rough game, but then this Imanor guy, he only had 13 yards, but his name was mentioned a lot if you watch the game. He was the number 2. Poor Cam Ward only had 112 yards passing against a tough Denver defense. He'll look to do more, obviously, next week when they're at home against the Rams, another tough matchup. But Imanor, hey, he was the number 2 there on a team that hopefully they'll be doing better, right? How about Vele or Mims here? Mims, hey, he's supposed to be the number 2. They're only got to, Bo Nix, only 176 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Denver had a tough game too against Tennessee, so hey, you don't know there, so Mims. But anyway, let's review here up to the top real quick. I like Keyshawn Butte. He has a chance to be a true number 1 for the rest of the year. I almost would put him number 1 over all of them, right? Sampson here, you're going to get him, but he's going to get to be there until this Judkins comes on and takes over. I mean, you'd think that's what's going to happen, or at least, and hey, don't get me wrong, Sampson's going to be the receiving back, so you'll still have something once Judkins comes back, but until then, 64 yards receiving, that was pretty good for him. And then Tootin, of course, here too, just because, hey, Jacksonville, Tank Bigsby being traded moves him up to the number 2. Now, Allen got a little bit more play, but it was the receiving back where Tootin would be the money, right? And then Allen and Higgins, Hollywood. But all right, well, let's take a look at this. All right, it's that time. I need to fill my shorts. Get a short, make a short out of this. Warning, this is a rapid repeat. All right, some quick waiver wire one. Dalton Kincaid, tight end if he's out there. Harold Fanning Jr. may be a little better here at 9. He got a lot of action there, a lot of snaps for Cleveland. Move over. How about Deontay Thornton Jr. here coming in at my number 8? Vegas, hot wide receiver rookie. You look for him. Wandale, PPR machine. If he's out there in a PPR league, you should have him on your team. How about Marquise Brown? Hollywood, 16 targets first week. Higgins, he's also out there, wide receiver. Number 2 for Houston. Christian Kirk's banged up. Keenan Allen's the new number 2 in town. Old number 2. Wasn't 1 before. But hey, he's back and ready to take some tootin'. Tank Bigsby's out of town. So Tootin moves up to the number 2 spot there. Dylan Sampson's number 1 till Judkins find out what he's doing. He's the receiving back there, nothing else. And Butte is your best choice, right? From LSU, get him.